Hey everyone, what's up? This is Simon from the Ionic Academy. In this video, I will show you how you can create a directive inside your Ionic 4 application that helps you to display or hide different elements of your content based on the role of a user. So we will make a few assumptions. We don't have a backend, so we will use some dummy roles. But you can easily plug in your own backend into our service and then still use the directive we're gonna create. So let's do this. I've already created a blank new Ionic app, and the first thing we install is actually something we don't necessarily need for this tutorial. It's the Angular animation package, but it's nice to have it, and I didn't like the effect when I created this tutorial, so we will do some basic animations as well. Then next thing is to generate a few more components for our app. So first of all, a service. This is the place where your calls to your backend would go into. Then the actual directive, which will check if a user has the right roles to see component, element, whatever on your screen. And finally, another module for our directives. So this will be created right here in the folder. With Ionic 3, we actually had this shared module for directives or other components that we could easily import, and the same thing is what we need here as well. Because if you know, or let me start the Ionic serve already. If you now look here, the directive was automatically added. And if it's only available here, it will not be available inside our module, which is lazy loaded. So therefore, our nice little, let me bring this in, our nice little shared module will help us to import the directive in the right places. So of course, we now need to import the browser animations module and add it to our imports if we want to use any sort of Angular animations. All right, that's it for this part. Now let's head over to our auth service. So first of all, let's assume a little interface that a user consists of a name and a roles array. So the user can have different roles, and the current user will be a behavior subject to which we can subscribe of the type user, and we initialize the behavior subject with null. So now other pages can subscribe to this. We've used this before, I think with some sort of authentication. It always makes sense to have something like this in place, so your app component or the top level of your app can subscribe to the state as an observable and then immediately gets the new values once a user is logged in. So for the login, let me bring in a little dummy function. In our case, we will just assume that we have this check to see if a user is user or admin. Of course, in your case, you make a REST API call and then you get back perhaps the role of a user, or like here, an array of roles. So this means the user has access to different elements inside your app. And those can be whatever. Some can purchase items, some can read lists, some can change things. In our case, both will have the read content, but the user has different roles than the admin here. Okay, so your backend can provide those roles, of course, in some form. All right, now to get the user subject, let's also create a function which will return this .current user as observable. So now others can call this, get an observable back, and can easily subscribe to the value. All right, of course, we need a logout function, and in this case, we call next on our behavior subject back to null. So to emit new values to the behavior subject, you can use the next function, and then this value is emitted, and the one who's subscribed to the behavior subject or observable will get this value. And if we set it back to null, we can then see that the user is unauthenticated. All right, finally, we need a function to see if the user has the roles. So this will be string and should return a Boolean. So in here we go, let's say const one role of roles. And if we don't have a user currently, so unauthenticated, or this current user value is the current value of the behavior subject. What was I saying? Okay, roles is of course the array, not contains but includes. I think contains what with Swift, but I'm not sure. Okay, then we return false. And if everything was fine, we return true. So we pass in an array of roles that the user has to have, and if the user does not have all the roles, we will return false for has role because he failed. Otherwise, if all of the roles were found, we can also return true. So this is used later in our directive, which we can actually create now. Okay, so a little bit of dummy implementation here, but the general case should still work for you. So for the shared directives module, we go ahead and add the hasRole directive to the declarations and also to the exports. So this is really important because now we can import this module into our home module, say shared directives module, and then the directive is available in our homepage. Okay, perfect. So that was the only reason to create this shared directive. Now let's see how we can create the actual directive. It is already created with the selector app has role, and we can use this again right here. So that's the name we're going to use, just like we use ngIf inside a component. We can now use app has role and then pass in some value inside our view. And to make the roles available, we add a local variable roles that we can then read and pass to our auth service. Okay, so for the constructor, we need a few things. So first, of course, we need the auth service. Then we need private template ref, which is a reference to, guess what? The template, the embedded template of the type any. And then let's do this in a new line, the view container reference, which represents a container where one or more views can be attached. So we can then either destroy the template reference or clear the container or add the element to this container. Okay, perfect. Let's also use on init in here, so we can use it right here. And at this point, the directive was called, the roles should be set. So what we need in here is, first of all, to get the user subject and subscribe. And we don't really need the value in here. And now if this dot auth service has roles, and now we pass in the roles that were passed to this directive. So if the user has the roles, the element on which the directive was added should be shown, and otherwise it should be removed. So if it should be removed, we can easily call clear, and otherwise we simply call create embedded view. Perhaps it even works with create component. I'm not sure. Perhaps we try this. And then we use our own template reference. So that's actually all for the directive. And now we only need to attach this directive to elements inside our app, and of course import the shared module, and then everything should be fine. So let's continue with the homepage. In the homepage, which is mostly some dummy stuff in here. So in your case, it will definitely look different. You will have a real login page, but for us, we just need a few functions. So let me bring them in. All right. And of course also implements on init. I'm not sure why it's not included in the first page in the Ionic starter, but no problem for us. What's your problem? I have new plugin installed, which brings all this. No, never mind. So in here, we also use the subject, but simply to set our authentication state. So we can change which buttons to display, so log in, log out. And for the log in and log out, we use those really advanced functions where we pass in the name. Again, of course, you would have a login form and pass the real data, but logout is still the same. And also I forgot to bring in the animations. So let's import a few things, and then your animations can be defined right here. And it could look like this. Perhaps we shouldn't call it slide in. Let's call this fade in out. And for the enter animation, so a component appears, we will go from opacity 0 to 1. And in the other case, we go back to 0. So the elements should come in slowly, hopefully. Now the last missing piece is to build our view. Let's call this Ionic role elements. And then again, let's do some copy paste in here. So a few buttons. We need login admin, login user, and logout. We display them, the first two if we're not authenticated, and the last one if we're authenticated. So no real magic. And now let's say we have some Ion cards, color primary, that we want to display. So Ion card header, my read content, and then the Ion card content, things every logged in user can see. So we now want to make sure that this card can only be seen by users that have a specific role. And we want to use the read content rule. So how to do it? We can now use our app has role directive and pass in an array of roles. So in our case, it will look like this. This would now pass this array to our directive right here. If the user now changes, the roles for this new user will be checked and the view is either embedded or cleared from the view. And the same thing can be done now for multiple other ways. So let's say this is secondary and this is purchase items, and this is called my user purchases or purchase content. So initially this question for the tutorial came from an Ionic Academy user who wanted to display different elements in the app based on what a user has previously purchased. So in that case, the backend would give back the information and you can use it inside the app to hide or show the content for the user. So this will be things only the user can see. The admin shouldn't have this role. And then we make this one, and the specific admin role was write content. And we can also additionally specify that the user has to be an admin because it's an array. So this is my admin content and things only the admin can see. Okay, so let's save this and see how it looks in action. Okay, that's great. App has role. Do I have a typo in here? App has role. Home module has the shared directives module, and the shared directives module declarations exports. Perhaps I just have to restart my command line. Might be the case. Or what is your problem? app has roles since it's okay. Well, that looks a bit strange, so let's do the classic restart. Of course, there was an issue with the command line, but also we have to make sure that inside the auth service, the has roles check is not only checking for current user, which is the behavior subject, but the actual value of the current behavior subject. So if this is ready, we can see it. We can log in as user and we see the read content and the user purchase content. And if we log out, everything's gone. And if we log in as admin, we get the read content and the admin content. So now with our directive, we can easily check on different items or elements if the user has a specific role. And of course, I also forgot to add the animation. So what was it called? It's fade in out. So we can add them right here, simply like this. Nothing else should be needed. So let's check again. And then, oh, so nice. They appear so good. We could even add this to the buttons if we want to, but perhaps that's a bit overkill. That's a bit too much, I think. But anyway, now we see with the animation, the items appear, they're gone if we don't have the roles, and they're back. All right, so that's the magic of using a role-based directive inside your Ionic application. It's really easy to implement. You just need one directive which performs a check if the user has the specified roles. If he doesn't have the roles, simply hide the element, otherwise show it. So you can build really complex views, and users could have multiple roles or whatever you call it, access to whatever. And then you can check for them, apply them, and each user would just see the specific elements he or she is allowed to see. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure to subscribe to my channel somewhere here below. And of course, also check out the ionicacademy.com, which is my personal training site for Ionic. So if you're interested in learning everything Ionic, make sure to check it out, and I'll see you inside the next video.